Hey, this is Mindy Bartlett Squillace. I want to talk to you about limiting beliefs, and I'm going to give you a very personal story, and then I'm going to leave you with a question. So please watch this whole video. My intention is to tell you a story so then you can relate it to your life. So stay with me. Limiting beliefs. Well, you see, in life, I had a situation where I allowed my limiting beliefs to almost stop me from what has become the most amazing decision of my life. So I'm going to back up to my birth. It's not going to be that long of a video. When I was born, they were worried that I was going to be born addicted to drugs because my mother was on drugs when I was born. My parents were married. I actually grew up in a pretty wealthy home. My dad was a doctor. My mom was a nurse. And my mom was an addict. And growing up was really tough. She was actually in and out of treatment centers, usually average 2 a year growing up. And so I didn't have a mom. My mom was not emotionally available. So for all intents and purposes, I did not have a mother. And it actually got to the point where it was actually harder for me when my mom was there than when she was gone. And it was actually harder for me when my mom was sober than when she was messed up. I'm going to give you a second to guess why it would have been harder for me when my mom was actually sober than it was when she was messed up. It was harder for me. Let's see if you got this right. It wasn't really a quiz question, but it became a lot harder for me when my mom was sober because I just waited for the other shoe to drop. I knew that eventually mom was going to go back to using again. I also had that feeling of what it was like to have a mom. So every time she got sober, it actually made it a lot more painful because I felt that love and that attention and the mothering. And I knew it was going to go away again. And so there are two sayings. There's absence makes the heart grow fonder, and then there's out of sight, out of mind. And so for me, in a sense, it was out of sight, out of mind, sort of won over in that that made it easier. And when she was away, I was able to just kind of pick up the pieces and move on and just kind of adapt to not having a mom. However, I was always searching for a motherly figure, which caused its own set of pains and struggles. So anyway, there's that story, and believe me, I'm getting to a point of limiting beliefs. So then when I was older, I was in college, I realized I was gay. Now, when I realized that, the hardest part of me coming to that understanding about myself was I knew that that was bad. But more than that, I knew that I was never going to be a mom. And growing up, when everything was crazy in my house and I would shut my door to my room, I had my room set up like as if it was a little apartment. And I had these baby dolls and I pretended to be a mom. And I had a poster of Luke Perry on the door, and that was Dad, and he was away. he was always in Hollywood. So anyway, I had created this alternate reality, and the worse things got in my real life, the more time I spent recreating it the way that I wanted it to be in my room. And I got rather good at taking the events outside of my room and sort of fixing them and redoing them, kind of like a take two in my bedroom and parenting my baby dolls the way that I wished I had been parented. So when I came out, it was a double blow. Not only was it great, my whole idea of what it means to be normal has been totally screwed up, but I figured I couldn't be a mom anymore. And I went through this period of mourning, not just for what I was going to have to endure with coming out and how society obviously made it appear, but that I wasn't going to be a mom. And I never wanted to be a mom to fix my childhood. I wanted to be a mom because I could almost feel that love of a mother when I was playing in my room. It was just always something that I longed for. So those became my limiting beliefs. And when I finally met my wife, who we've now been together for almost 11 years, when I met her and we started talking about having children, I realized I really did still want to have them very badly. And then I came to realize it was possible. But then I had another limiting belief. I didn't know how to be a mom. There was no way that I could be a mom. I didn't have a mom. I was royally going to screw this up. Not only was it going to be harder for us to parent because of the way the society has talked about gay people and parenting. However, there was a study from Australia just yesterday or today about it, so check that out. But I didn't know how to be a mom, and I was so scared that I was going to do what my mother had done to me, to my children. I completely shut off the idea. Those limiting beliefs kept me stuck, and they almost caused me to not become the most important thing I have become in this life, and that is a mom. And I am a mom to 3 amazing little boys. Tegan and Bodhi are twins. They're 4 years old, and Ridley is 20 months old, and they are amazing, and we have an incredible family. And you know what I realized? I didn't have any idea what I was doing, but so much of it was natural. And I believe actually so much of it has been really well thought out for us because of the 2 most impactful events in my life. Not having a mother caused me to have to decide on my own what it means to be a mother. And secondly, not having society's roles stereotyped out for us as to what a mother and a father would do and what a role of each of those, what those roles looked like in a family, we had to cognizantly create those. So our whole parenting style has been very thoughtful. And because of that, I believe that it has become a priority that would be high, that is higher for me than if I hadn't grown up and realized I was gay and not had a mother and that relationship to draw from. So those limiting beliefs actually became the 2 factors that, when flipped on their side, and me realizing that those were positive attributes, have made all the difference in the world. So I ask you this: what are your limiting beliefs? What are your limiting beliefs about you, about your capabilities? And the way that you can identify those is first to look at your fears. When it comes to business, my fear is that I'm going to fail. That's my fear, that I'm actually not as intelligent as I think I am, and that I'm going to end up failing. Because as entrepreneurs, nothing is guaranteed. If you have a salary position, you know what the expectations are. They're clear. You know how to meet the objectives. You know what the objectives are. And all you have to do is be a good employee, is be good at completing the tasks that allow you to accomplish the objectives, and then you get that salary pay. Whereas we have to create the objectives for ourselves. We have to come upon roadblocks, overcome them, and that's how we learn to grow in our business. We have to constantly think outside the box, as opposed to getting permission from someone on occasion once we prove ourselves to do that. It's really scary, isn't it? But if we keep those limiting beliefs intact, that's where we're going to go. That's as high as we'll ever get. If I had allowed the fact that I didn't have a mother, and the fact that society says that 2 moms can't raise a child correctly, in a healthy environment, I wouldn't be a mom right now, and my 3 children wouldn't even exist. So those limiting beliefs, whatever they are, first identify your fears. Once you identify your desires and your fears around them, Then you can start to break down those limiting beliefs. And if you need help with that, I would love to help you do that. This business is for people that are willing to take a risk and are willing to question the ceiling, willing to question how far they really can go in order to achieve whatever they want to. And yeah, I had no idea what it was like to be a parent. I didn't know how to be a mom. I didn't have a role model when it came to that. Yes, I knew we were going to come up against some barriers in society, we walk into Target and we have people saying things and commenting and looking at us certain ways and evaluating us. You're going to have that in your business. You're going to have that in your life. The question is, do you want what you're after enough that you are willing to question those limiting beliefs and to overcome them so that you can authentically live the life that you are supposed to live? That's really what it comes down to. Have a good night.